Ja Morant, he released his first statement since his suspension, right? So this is what it says. It said, "Now I know I've disappointed a lot of people who have supported me. This is a journey I recognize there is more work to do. My words may not mean much right now, but I take full accountability for my actions. I'm committed to continuing to work on myself." Now, like I said, this was his first statement since the suspension. His first time he's gone public. Now, DJ, I know we haven't had you on and whatnot, to kind of even get your thoughts on the situation. We were talking about this yesterday. What are your thoughts just really on this whole situation and then this statement that he just recently released?
Ah, man, it's mind-boggling, man. It's for me, man. John Morant first and foremost is a hell of a talent, hell of a player. Um, I look at him as one of them guys. He's the face of the NBA at a young age, right? Just his style of play and what he's able to do on the court. Off the court is what concerns me about him, and I'm saying this to say I don't want to be too hard on him because once again he's young. He has the world in his hands. Um, and I don't personally know him, but the mistakes that he's making, at this point is concerning for me,
Mm-hmm.
because of the type caliber player he is and, being a franchise player and, being a guy that, all these kids are looking up to, my kid looks up to him, like all these kids, they want to be him. My issue is, this new era of the social media, man, when I was my first few years in the NFL when I was in Philly, I did some mind-boggling things myself, and I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm the perfect person as well, but I mean we make mistakes in life, but just the decision making concerns me about him, man, and it's almost like you got to understand, man, because you don't want to be in a situation where you're continuously making these mistakes, and then it's too late,
Right.
So for me, I think it's the people around him. I think it's his circle. I think it's his friends. And he really needs somebody to mentor him, man. He needs somebody to really be able to look up to and, just pull his coattail and be like, these are things you got to stay away from. Yeah, all the music and the NBA young boy and all these, going to clubs, partying, having fun. Once again, he's young, man. He's a kid, and I'm saying that to say it comes with a big responsibility. But, for me, he really needs to tap in. He really needs to take that, constructive criticism from
Right.
somebody that really cares about him and doesn't care about the money he's making or the statistics or the status he has. He really needs to like tune in to somebody that really cares about him and kind of just take some advice, And I even posted a post the other day on Instagram, and I know he has something on his Instagram where you can't tag him, but it's just like, man, tap in with the people that's grew up in that area that came from the streets because I grew up in the streets, bro, and as much as we glorify that and praise that lifestyle. I done had friends die in front of me. I done seen guys get shot. Like I
Mm-hmm.
done seen my boys catch murder cases, and it's just like as much we want to portray that much we think that's cool, man. You get money, man, and stay away from that stuff, man. Get out the
Yeah.
hood, stay away from that. Yeah, it's okay to hang with them and have fun, but it's just like be careful what you put out there, man.
Gotta be
That's just
smart
my
about it.
biggest thing on that.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta be smart about it. Ashley, your thoughts on his statement?
I mean, we spoke about this when Stack was on Monday,
Right.
and I agree with D-Jack. When we're young, we make mistakes, but then, once is a mistake, twice is a choice. You actively chose to make the same decision that got you suspended the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. It's the decision making that's the most concerning because he knows right from wrong. He's just choosing to continue to do the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, there's nothing you can do to him outside of continuing to suspend him and him making a decision for himself to do better. You can't force him to do better. He has to want to do better on his own. And I had this conversation with Stack, and this was my take. He needs to figure out why being the face of the NBA, one of the faces of the NBA, being an athlete, being an NBA athlete at that player. I mean, when we talk about NBA and NFL, we're talking about the upper echelon of athletes. They say collegiate athletes, only 1.3% of athletes who play in college will make a professional league.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's such a opportunity that is just so hard to come by, and he needs to figure out why reaching that pinnacle and capitalizing on this opportunity that people would kill for is not enough for him. And it's unfortunate that I know people will say, oh, change your circle of friends and things like that. And maybe he does need to, but that also is the decision that he needs to make. All of these roads lead back to Ja. Ja's in charge of changing the trajectory of his career and his reputation so far. And he's young enough that he can do it. And I know people say, oh, well, he's in Memphis. It's an open carry state. He's not doing anything illegal. 100%. That's accurate. That's completely factual. But here's the thing. As we all know, D-Jack, you know, playing in the NFL and us, you know, working in the space of media, when you are tied to a brand, you represent that brand. You can't just do whatever you want. And I understand whether it's illegal or not, but Ja Morant represents the NBA. He's a byproduct of the NBA. And the NBA is not going to jeopardize the reputation of a multi-billion-dollar business so Ja can do whatever he wants to do on Instagram. There are repercussions to your actions. And when you are in a position, that's where the saying, heavy is the head that wears the crown. When you are or to whom much is given, much is required. This is exactly what that means. Like, I understand you're young, but there also comes a point where you have to grow up faster than maybe you're ready to. And that could be a bunch of different circumstances. We spoke about this on Monday. Maybe you become a young father. Maybe you lose your parents. Or maybe you're in a situation, a position where you have a lot of eyes on you and a lot of money being brought in, a lot of people depending on you. You may have to grow up faster than a normal 23-year-old. And that may be hard to do. But that is what comes with this type of responsibility. And he needs to, unfortunately, grow up. And he needs to grow up quickly, because eventually the chances for the same thing start to wear out. And the forgiveness and the grace people extend you start to wear out. And then then we're having a different conversation.
Well, we saw, the commissioner, Adam Silver, say in an interview yesterday, before the NBA draft, in investigating the situation, they're expecting the worst, right? So, I mean, do you think it's going to be a lengthy suspension for Ja Morant, DJ? Like, you think that's probably what it's going to take for him to kind of just receive this message?
I think first and foremost, they have to set the example. And it's unfortunate that he's the example. This is a second offense. And I want to go back to speak on a little bit what Ashley spoke on. Correct. Memphis is an open state, right? He's not doing nothing illegal. But once again, it's always the saying. When you become a professional athlete, it's always the saying, protect the shield. The NBA logo, the NFL logo, the MLB logo, all these professional sports clubs, you have to protect the shield. And if I'm the Memphis Grizzlies and this guy is worth $200 million, do I want to continuously keep investing $200+ million? You have sponsorships. You have, all these kids looking up to him. Like, is that what I want my franchise leader to look like? So he's not protecting the shield. So for me, I mean, the first offense was 8 games. Second offense, I would at least say it has to be plus 25 games. And for me, that's not going to sit right. If I'm a teammate, for one, and you're the point guard and a franchise player, like, I'm gonna feel away. So for me, if I'm a teammate, and I know he doesn't really have too many teammates on his team to really can be able to call him out, because no one's as big as him on his team. But for me, if I'm one of them guys on there, man, I would call him and reach out and hopefully just be like, look, bro, I understand what you're going through. Maybe I don't understand, but look, man, we need you on this court, man. So whatever I can do to be here to help you, like, you need. And this time, he needs people more of support. Like, I know everybody's so quick to bash him. But, he needs more people in support. You know what I'm saying? Because this world we're in, man, mistakes are going to happen. We're not perfect. No one's perfect. I'm not perfect. No one's feeling like there's nobody. The commissioner's not perfect. You know what I'm saying? So for me, at the end of the day, yeah, give him a plus 25 games, and I think it will be lengthy. But at the end of the day, man, he can't continuously keep doing the same mistakes over and over.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. They have to make an example of him at this point, because now it's, okay, we gave you a suspension the first time around that may or may not have been a little light. It may have been what they call a superstar suspension. If you were a bench player, it probably would have got a lot longer the first time around, right? So you take that gift, if you want to, let's call it that. You take that gift, a lighter suspension, and you squander it only a few weeks later. So now what you're doing is forcing the hand of the NBA, because think about it in terms of something smaller, right? For people who have kids. I don't have kids. D-Jack, you have kids. Corey, you got kids?
No,
walking
man.
around here?
No,
Okay,
man.
just making sure. Just asking. I don't know how you be moving out here. Listen,
Right.
when a kid does something wrong and you punish them or you tell them not to do it, and then they do it again, now you have to punish them because I told you not to do it. I gave you the leniency of not being punished because of the first time around. You took that and you took it for granted, and now you did the same action. So now a punishment has to come because that's the only way for you to learn there are repercussions to your actions.
Yeah.
It's a similar ideology with Ja. They gave him a lighter suspension off of his action, and instead of learning from that and saying, okay, I kind of got off easy the first time around,
Right.
let me go ahead and not do this again, he pushed his luck and forced the hand of the NBA, of the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, if they don't give him a lengthier suspension, a larger suspension, they look like they're playing that as long as you're a superstar in the NBA, the rules don't apply to you. And what the brand of the NBA represents doesn't apply to you. So they're literally what D-Jack is saying is factual. Their hand is forced. Like now they have to make an example of you because you left them no choice.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that he's going to have to learn the hard way.
Yeah, yeah.